What am I going to do? I'm going to do it. I am going to take place in the Walkaway challenge with this dress. Okay, I know I'm about 3 months late, but here it is. Let's back up a little bit. So, Stephanie Canada is a vintage pattern seller, and she hosted a competition about 3 or 4 months ago to make the walkaway dress in the allotted amount of time. So, a little background if you don't know about the walkaway dress. This is the reproduction pattern, but going back to the 1950s, Butterick advertised this pattern as something you could make after breakfast and wear to lunch. And I believe they gave a 2-hour time frame on making this dress. So that's the story. Fast forward to this reproduction. Apparently the reproduction isn't as good as the original pattern, but I could not get my hands on that. So I am going to try to make this one. And a little hint, I've already done a mock-up, so I know that there are some serious fit issues around the sides. In fact, gaping sides that will show your right, we start out at 000 with the back piece. This piece actually was supposed to be cut on the fold, but I did not have enough material because I am using scraps. So I had to cut 2 pieces and just sewed them together with a seam. The long piece on the left of your screen, that actually folds over to the front of the dress. You can see I'm using coasters for paperweights. They work really well. And this is how I do my dart placement. I actually trace the dart from the pattern and just cut it out into a little shape, and then it is super easy to get onto the fabric this way. You don't have to fuss around with the fabric or anything like that. Next up, this is the gold satin layer that will make the front of the dress, and it actually folds all the way around your body to the back where it is fastened by an elasticized waistband. You can see here that there are 3 darts, and I'm using the same technique where I cut out the darts and then just placed them on the fabric and traced the dart over on the fabric. Super easy to do it this way. And I found out that I should have ironed this. There are so many creases in this dress that it made it a little hard to work with. And right now we are moving on to the tulle. So this is the green tulle layer. I have 4 full circle skirts of green tulle. I think that added up to be about 6 yards of the tulle. Even though there are so many yards, it's still very see-through material. And I am just going to cut it. Super easy to cut this tulle. I used my scissors because I didn't think a rotary blade would really work as well, and I think I was correct about that. Tulle is also pretty inexpensive, so it was a really affordable way to do a skirt. So there you have it. I'm done with this layer, and all I have to do now, oh, I guess I'm counting and clipping to make sure it stays roughly together before I take off the pattern piece so that I can make the sparkly gold layer next. And now we're working on the sparkly gold layer. You can't tell it in the video, but there are sparkles everywhere. This fabric just shed sparkly glitter all over the place, including my face and my eyes. I had a bit of a challenge rolling it all out and trying to fold it up into those 4 circle skirt pieces because I cut them all at once. And so
It just seems like it goes on and on and on and on forever. And it does. So, magic. I think I gave up filming at this point, and just like magic, there it is. The circle skirt is all cut. So now I am done with that piece of the pattern. And I've actually cut out the whole thing because there are only 3 pieces to this dress. The skirt, the back, and the front. There I am trimming up a bit. I didn't have a very good circle on this one, and something happened over there. So I'm just trimming it up a bit. Making sure it's neat. It's not so neat, so I better go back and fix it to make it neat.
Does anyone know how to get rid of glitter? Look at all of this. Yeah. All over the place. And I'm not done yet. I better go take a shower. So this is it, 2 hours in, and I haven't even begun to sew. Apparently, I totally misjudged how long this tool would take to cut. I even feel like I have glitter in my eyes. Well, I better go shower, and I'm going to come back and finish this dress. All right, so now that I am done cutting, it is time to inspect my design choices. I want to make sure the dress is going to be put together like I expect it to. So what I've done is I've clipped everything together. I have not sewn in my darts yet, and I have not sewn the shoulders, but this gives me an idea of what the dress is going to look like. I do like the fabric, so I am going to keep the shiny side. The darts here, I think, work really well. However, I don't think I need that side dart that I couldn't figure out how to put in, because I think it'll look fine here. I might, if I need to, I can adjust that later. But I'm okay with that. The green fabric looks, I like the contrast. I think it's gonna look nice. The armhole here, I'm not quite sure what's happening, but I have a feeling that's because I've pinned it and I don't have those darts in the back yet. So I know this part fit me before in the mock-up, so I'm not too concerned about that. I did have this raised higher, so I think that will cover up my underarm area. Now, as far as the skirt, I have 3 different choices of the way I can put it on. So I also thought I would look and see which choice I liked best. So this is the sparkle and the green together. So I can either have the green out and the sparkle in, or vice versa, or I can alternate green and gold sparkle. So playing around with it, I think this looks okay, but this green doesn't really match, so I'm not really fond of that. I believe that this looks better. This looks more like I was envisioning, with the green just being very subtle behind. So I think I'm gonna go with that. The problem is with this top layer of tulle, it's really snaggy, so it's hard, it doesn't lay flat. So I had a third option, and this one alternates the green and the gold. And I also like that. This will also make it hang a little better so that the tulle doesn't get stuck on itself. It's not quite as sparkly, but I do like the hints of green behind the gold. So I actually might go with this one. The remaining problem I have is that I have 4 layers of tulle here. So I basically cut out 15 yards. So this is 15 yards of tulle, and it is still like very, very see-through. So what I might have to do is, the front's okay, but because you have this part of the dress, but the back, the way the dress is fastened, you're gonna have this, this part right here that needs to be covered up. So what I might do is, I have plenty of the gold satin left. I'll cut a smaller circle skirt. And actually that might help out with the waist here, because it's going to be hard to sew all these 4 pieces together. But if I have like a small circle skirt that goes down to maybe there, that'll help sewing, and it'll also help cover up those areas that you don't want exposed. I think that's what I'm going to do next. So on to sewing.
All right, I'm going ahead to pin those darts that I drew in already. The way I do things, I cut everything out first. I mark the darts, and then I sew all the darts together on the front piece and on the back piece. It's a fairly easy process. You just have to make sure that your dart pointies are 2 pointy, and that you pin it all together evenly. So I usually make sure that I match the darts. If I have a left and a right, I'll just eyeball it to make sure that they're actually hitting at the same point. After all the darts are in, all you have to do is sew the shoulders together at the top. So this is the front and back piece. Golden the front, green in the back.
I finished sewing the satin onto the back of the tulle, and unfortunately I didn't film it because I thought I had pressed the button and I hadn't. But the next step is to attach the skirt, the tulle layer, to this part of the dress. This is the back side that goes around to the front. And as you can see, I actually have about 4 or 5 extra inches on this side and this side because I didn't cut it correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and gather up all of that extra inches so I don't have to remove them. So the next step is to pin it together and then to sew the skirt onto the top. I'm almost done.
To gather the skirt together, all I did was hand sew a string across all of the layers and to pull it in tightly so that it matched the skirt back. And right now I am just attaching and pinning it all together. It was actually much more manageable than I expected. These many layers of tulle turned out to be fairly easy to work with, so I was very happy about that. Next up, I took the whole giant mess over to the sewing space, and I had a whole bunch of tulle on my lap, sticking out everywhere. You can't see it here, but this was a mammoth amount of party dress sticking out everywhere. But as long as you sew it on the right side, it goes fairly smooth as well. You can see the tulle begin to climb up the other side of the wall. I'm almost done. Now that the skirt is sewn onto the bodice, it's time to put that bias tape in. I chose a 1-inch thick brown bias tape, and first I have to gather all 4 of my layers of tulle to the satin in the back. This took some time because I wanted to make sure it was even, and some of the layers were so invisible it was hard to see them. So what I did first is I just clipped them all together one by one by one. And then I'll move on to actually clipping the bias tape in there as well. This we're looking at is the front of the skirt that opens up. Okay, it's time to just thread this through the sewing machine, and the process works just about the same for every bit you need to put the bias tape on. And of course this goes around the whole dress, the neckline, around the sleeves and the back. It is a quite intensive part of the project, and the one that's most time consuming, especially if you weren't working with 4 layers of tulle. Now for the reveal.
This was a fun project. I have never worked with tulle before, especially glitter tulle, any kind of glitter fabric. And let me tell you that this stuff comes off and it covers everything. So my biggest lesson learned with this project is if you are considering using fabric that has glitter on it, beware, because I felt like I had so much glitter in my eyes, on my face, everywhere. I almost felt like wearing goggles. The satin and the cotton, on the other hand, worked out really well for this project, especially with that brown bias tape. Actually, I really like how the colors are coordinated. That worked out the way I had expected to it, which it's really nice to see a project come together from fabric to outfit and actually sort of match your vision. I especially like how the bias tape matched the green and the gold and even the sparkly tulle really well. Now, what did I think of the pattern? I liked it. I really actually liked it, except for that one area where I wasn't able to fix this. So you'll notice in the pictures in the video, I try to cover up that area because this is still too gappy. The only way I could wear this is if I had a t-shirt underneath or something like that. I thought the neckline was perfect, although I feel like my bias tape was a bit thick up here because it puckered a bit and I couldn't get it to lay flat. It kind of laid forward. The sleeves, I liked the length of the sleeves. I felt like everything fit pretty well except for that sleeve gap area. Will I ever wear this sparkle tulle dress? I think so, but for Halloween. I don't plan on going to any balls anytime soon, so this is definitely something I can wear to the door for trick-or-treating. And as far as making the pattern again, I like it, and I had an idea of trying to make more of a coat out of it. I think that would be really neat with maybe some canvas, this part is canvas, and then have a wraparound coat like that. And maybe modifying the front to be more like a suspender crossover, something like that. I thought that would be a really neat use of this pattern. I might try that at some point. So that's it for this make. I really enjoyed myself and I hope you enjoyed watching. And if you are considering making this pattern, just be thoughtful about this area or consider wearing a turtleneck or a shirt underneath. All right, that's all for now. See you later. Bye.